This week marked a critical pivot in risk sentiment. It has been marked with ETH resurgence, AI infrastructure dominance, and meme coin volatility. My name is OP. I'm a prop trader from Hashedge, and I'm here showing up every day to give you sentiment analysis, technical analysis, fundamental analysis, coupled with news sentiment across the space to keep us ahead of the parapet and make us better traders, and for us to take advantage of volatility that comes with this space, in this nascent space whereby millionaires are made. And frankly speaking, generational wealth is made. Let's just jump straight into the chart and pay attention to what is got in store for us, looking back at this week and looking forward to what will be happening next week. Looking at the 4-year cycle, 2025 4-year cycle, we see some opponents arguing that it has been invalidated because we have not really followed it. But looking at Rekt Capital, is still saying we are on course on the 4-year bull market cycle. So we have just started the first phase for the first year, and is predicting that we will peak by the year 2026, end of 2025, 2026, and by 2027 will be the bottoming out of this bull market. Looking at what Raupal's banana zone chart is saying, is that looking at the 4-year cycles also is saying we are at correction phase 1 and we are yet to go on a parabolic run into correction phase 2. So we are just at the beginning of this cycle. If you miss this run to $103,000 per Bitcoin, you should not be dissuaded, because there will definitely be a correction which will grant you an entry for you to take advantage and to be early to take advantage of the volatility and the movement upwards towards the banana zone where we currently are sitting right now. And all of this is marked by institutional inflows and institutional buy-ins from ETFs and just people, companies putting it on their balance sheets, Bitcoin on their balance sheets, and government entities and sovereign wealth making it strategic reserves. This is the onset for a parabolic run, and we are early. You are early to take advantage of this. We see BlackRock this week just met with SEC task force to discuss things like staking. So we are talking about DeFi, options trading, tokenization of the space, which is RWA, and ETF approval standards. So expecting much more money and much more trillions to get into this space. You are early. We are early to this space, and we are here to take advantage of it. You see the CEO of a major cryptocurrency exchange saying crypto is going mainstream. Of course, we have been reporting about this. We know about this. But we listen to the bigwigs in the traditional space now coming and supporting our thesis, saying crypto is here to stay. Let's just take a listen.
Assets business. So what's happening in crypto? Crypto is going mainstream, right? More and more people have digital assets, have cryptocurrencies, right? That's a secular trend. Also, more and more traditional institutional investors embrace crypto. More and more traditional financial institutions, also across Europe, and we are their infrastructure partner. So is the US ahead in terms of regulation when it comes to compared to Europe? I wouldn't say so. And it's interesting. It's a great question. And it's interesting you're asking this question. In fact, Europe is ahead. We have a regulation. It's called MiCA, right? It is now in effect, and it's not a bad regulation. And if you compare that with the regulatory fragmentation in the US, Europe even has a head start. Of course, now we need to make sure, with all this dynamic and political support in the US, that we do not fall behind again.
So Europe has a head start. Crypto is going mainstream. Institutions and government entities are here to take advantage of what we are and to buy our bags. You see, Cathy Wood is also echoing the same, saying institutions have barely moved into Bitcoin and are still testing the waters when Bitcoin is at $103,000 and institutions are just getting started. What do you think the price would be when they are fully here. And all of them are rushing in the door to get into this space. You also see Facebook trying to enable crypto payments for their 3 billion users. This is incredible. We are early, guys.
BlackRock Meta is now in talks with a number of crypto companies as it considers introducing stablecoins as a way to manage payouts. This is coming from a new report in Fortune magazine. It comes years after Meta's earlier attempt to remember how cryptocurrency blew up. Fortune saying that Meta's recent outreach to crypto companies focuses on the ability of stablecoins to pay individuals in different regions without the high fees that would be traditionally associated with other forms of payment. It also says that Meta has now hired a new vice president of product with crypto experience to help move those discussions along. So you remember that whole adventure that they went on, that ultimately Libra, that didn't make it, but this may be the next incarnation.
You remember I got...
This is the onset. You also see Conor McGregor advocating for Ireland to adopt a Bitcoin reserve. And just like copying New Hampshire, Arizona states adopting Bitcoin as a strategic reserve. Of course, there will be other sovereign nations that are quiet about it but are adopting crypto reserves on the down low. Of course, we know about El Salvador, but there will be many more. And all of this will be reported once it's privy to us. And this is just where we are and how our journey begins in this space. We also see Coinbase is launching 24/7 Bitcoin and Ethereum futures trading to meet growing user demand. This is after they announced a deal to acquire Dubai-based option trading exchange called Deribit. Coinbase is moving fast, acquiring other companies and to establish their presence and their foundation as one of the big wigs and one of the mainstays of crypto adoption in the US especially and all across the world. You see other institutions like Logistics Health is rolling out a 50 million XRP payment-based system and is one of the first public healthcare firms to go blockchain first on XRP ledger. This is bullish for XRP. You see also ETH has been on fire this week. Of course, we'll go into the technical analysis and see what is driving. And you see all these kind of things are driving the ETH charts. Although ETH has been a sleeper, according to the charts, has not been doing well since 2024. But right now, it has just awoken and a 20% move in the last 2 days, now hitting a 2-month high of over $2,000. The Petra upgrade that was just done to the ETH blockchain is driving a deflationary shift, and analysts are eyeing 3,000 Ethereum in Q2 this year. You see Solana 2 is taking on the Nasdaq to become the internet's market. This is just bullish for the space. Solana is bullish, XRP is bullish, Bitcoin of course is bullish, Ethereum is bullish, SUI is bullish. All these are what we are looking at, and we are going to be taking advantage of them to make money in the upside or even the downside when there's a little correction in the market, because we can short the market. That's why we're here, and that's why we are traders, to take advantage of all of this. We move ahead to macro analysis and macroeconomics, and seeing that US and China are now holding trade talks, and it's being reported is going to be happening in Switzerland. And I believe Treasury Secretary Bessent is headed over to Switzerland to begin talks. So this is coming on the back of easing tensions. Russia and Ukraine is also easing and planning a way for detent. And even it was reported yesterday that US is calling upon China to be the mediator between Russia and Ukraine. All these talks is just giving us a bigger bullish narrative for an upcoming violent swing to the upside for the whole cryptocurrency space, especially for the altcoins that I've indicated in this video. And we'll be looking at them and looking at their price action in the charts. We take a look at Bitcoin charts and we see we're expecting a correction, and I believe a correction is in the cards. You see, volume is declining, so not so much good volume at the moment. Right now, we're at 103,000 levels, and looking at the candle that is being printed today, looks like a weak candle, and I'm expecting a further pullback to about the $100,000 levels for us to confirm this support before we continue on this run in the near term. However, I'll be expecting that in the mid-term, we should expect a pullback to around 95K to confirm that support for further upside in the longer term. You see, the RSI is looking incredibly overbought. So this is showing us a slowing down of momentum and this euphoria dying down right now in the near term. But we remain structurally bullish for now as we look at the charts and we look at everything happening. Looking at Ethereum USD, it is just touching the 200 EMAs and got rejected at that. So we expect a further pullback around 2,100 before and a confirmation of that support before another move to the upside, or if it gets rejected, we'll be looking at to the downside, and we'll be looking at a confirmation at 1,800. Looking at the RSI, we look overbought also, so we expect a movement in sideways or a immediate dump in the near term to, like I said, 1,800 thereabouts. Looking at the volume, we seem to have picked up, so we expect this, and we'll be continuing to watch the volume and continue to watch liquidity inflows into Ethereum for now. Looking at SUI, which we are incredibly bullish on the SUI charts, you see SUI is also showing some exhaustion in its movement for now. So what is the main thing we notice across these three charts we have just looked at? They look pretty much the same thing, and everyone is mirroring Bitcoin's move, because Bitcoin moves and it grabs the market, the rest of the market. Ethereum moves, and that Ethereum is really the onset of the altcoin season, which everybody is always looking forward to, because the altcoin season pulls all different altcoins, shitcoins, meme coins, whatever you name it, and that's because the moves are much more violent in altcoins and meme coins, and that is where a lot of millions and generational wealth can be made by everyone, and that's what we are here to take advantage of. Looking at SUI, same thing, to be honest. Looking sideways movement right now, so I'm expecting much more choppy markets within SUI, especially we are here recording this on Saturday, so I'm not expecting anything to be happening because volatility is the market is kind of bored on Saturday, not really always happening on the weekends, so liquidity will be low. So I'm expecting further choppy movements across the board for this weekend before we begin next week, which will tell us what the next week has in store for us. So we'll be watching the market and just paying attention to everything and just studying the charts. And one major thing is managing our risk levels so we make money and not lose money in this violent and volatile market we have. Looking at the fear and greed index, we have come down from yesterday's high of 73. Now we are at 70. So, but we are still in the greed area and the greed section of sentiment. And this is where we should be careful, and we should be fearful when others are greedy and greedy when others are fearful. Looking at the overall crypto market on crypto bubbles, looking at meme coins as a whole, you see there's a lot of green in the market. Virtual is down on the daily 5.4%. Other things are up. Everything is up. Meme coins are showing. X is one to watch because the SEC has dismissed the case against its founder, Richard Hart, and that has been pumping. So a lot of things happening for X. We see everything across the board, like Pepe, Fatcoin, WIF, Dog with Heart. Meme coins are showing a lot of movement and a lot of wild swings. And this is where we are here to take advantage of. That is why we are here, showing up every day to take advantage of this market and to make money here from zero to Ferrari. I'll see you tomorrow. Manage your risk levels, and we are here to make money. See you tomorrow. Bye.